Hello everybody and welcome back to Vintage Thursday. So today is part 2 of our drum brake overhaul. In part 1 we stripped and cleaned and relined our original shoes. If you haven't seen that you can go back and watch it. So in today's part 2 we are going to refit the shoes to the tractor and set up the brakes, balance them up and get them as they should be.
Right, so here we go. We are now all ready for assembly. We have our relined shoes, new springs. Okay, so complete new set of springs, new retaining pins, our bridging piece has been cleaned, and our adjuster it was free anyway, but we've cleaned it up, greased the threads, and just give it all a general clean up. So all we have to do now, put it all back together. Most important thing to do, get something comfy to knee along. And then bottom one on first. So they're held in place by these pins that come through from behind. So we put the washer, then the spring, and then another washer. So these washers have got a profile to them, a raised centre, so this raised centre's got to go towards the spring, and then that holds the spring central onto the pin. And then a quarter turn keeps them there. There we go, all the retaining pins in. Next job with the adjuster fully shut up. He just sits in there. So we have to make sure that this notched part of the adjuster lines up with the slot in the back plate. One will be up this way, the opposite side will be the other way. So the slot is higher up on the right hand wheel and lower down on the left hand wheel, and there's a reason for that and we will explain later on. Okay, so springs and the retainer next. So the retainer goes on the front, locates where our brake rod is just a little bit proud. Right, I've got to tap that back a smidge. Right, there we go. Remember we changed the bushes in the inside of there in the seal video. That was just not quite far enough in. That's better. We're now flush here. So what we'll do first, the black spring goes at the back. So it hooks into the back hole of the top shoe from the inside. Just a bit of jiggery pokery to get him in. So he hooks in there, and then we need to pull down on it to catch it into this bottom hole, and it will then engage with that toothed adjuster. There we go, he's in. And then the pressure of that spring acting on the teeth stops that from moving when you don't want it to. Right, front springs. Okay, so front springs into that hole, and then we need to stretch it down over there. So screwdriver between there and there, and a bit of hope. Just as easy as that. When it goes right, it's easy. Just slides down, clicks on. Another way you can do it is a piece of string. So we'll spring in, pull, easy. So there we go, that is fully installed. All new springs, all new retainers. Just got to put a drum on now. Okay, so here we are, all fully completed back together. So I did mention just briefly earlier on about the adjuster here for the brake. So what this does, you click, as this turns, it expands at the thread, and then it pushes the shoes against the drum. So when the drum is on, you expand this out until they're tight, back it off a bit, and then you set your brakes up like that. But I said earlier on, the slots in the left and right hand side are different. So on the left hand side the slot is low. On the right hand brake you invert this adjuster. That puts the tooth section up here somewhere, and the corresponding slot is higher in the right hand side. So the reason for that is to allow a screwdriver to pass through. Okay, so you pass the screwdriver through the slot, catch it with the teeth, and you can see that spring. As each tooth clicks round, the spring catches into the tooth and holds it there. So that is what keeps your brake adjustment in place. Now the reason for left and right being, or for the left being lower and the right hand side being higher, is so that when you insert your screwdriver through, so to expand the brakes, which is what we're doing now, you push the handle of your screwdriver towards the axle. Now because they are opposite, left and right hand side are opposite, it is always the same way. So you push both sides towards the axle to expand, and you can just see that is now starting to open up there as that thread is lifting out. So that's the reason there. Each side is different, so that for no matter what side you're setting, to expand the shoes, you push the handle of the screwdriver towards the axle, and then obviously to back the shoes away from the drums, you pull the handle towards you, away from the axle. So right at the start of the video, we backed the shoes off before we could take the drums off, and that is what we were doing. We were pushing or pulling the screwdriver towards us to draw that thread back in and reduce or release the shoes away from the drums. So there we go, that is why left and right, they're the same, just installed differently. So now we are fully reassembled. Next thing to do is put the drums back on. So you will remember back at the start of the video, the drum was damaged by the shoes. So let's take a look. Okay, so looking into the inside of the drum, this ridge here, where the screwdriver is running around, is what was worn in by a shoe, or probably by a rivet, not on the shoes we've just taken off, but on a previous set. So it wasn't worn into the drum by these shoes, because these shoes have worn to match a groove that was already there. So we can see the extent of the damage is here. So what options are open to us to fix this drum? So the opposite side drum is good. It would benefit from putting on the lathe and just truing that face up. We could do that, that would be easy. This one, I've got no real sensible way of measuring that groove, but it's deep, it's there. I would imagine to put this drum in a lathe, take that groove out, we're going to be removing too much metal from here. Now there will be somewhere a figure that is an acceptable amount to machine off. I don't know what that is, but I think to take that groove out is going to be too much. It's going to leave us too thin. So this drum is now scrap. New drums are available. They're not massively expensive. This is beyond saving in my opinion. So we've bought a pair of new drums. And here it is, upside down, just like the other one. So I have put a bit of paint on, just because they come in primer, so I add a bit of grey. It's not the right grey. Before anybody tells me this tractor should not be Stonely grey, I know that. It should be flint grey, but I don't have any flint grey paint. So just for some drums that you don't see much. I used the paint I had. So they are fully machined, ready to go on. All I have to do, there is a corrosion inhibiting coating inside of here, and I need to get that out because I don't want that contaminating our shoes, our new linings. I have had it in the parts washer previously before I painted it, but we'll just run round inside of here with some thinners to clean that coating off. So I don't know if the camera's picking it up, but you can see it's a definite darker colour here, and we're full clean steel there. So that's what we need to do. Before we put it on, what we're going to do, we're going to put some copper grease on here, because if you remember back at the start of the video, not this side but the far side, it was all seized, and the drum was seized on. We had an awful job to get it off. So we're going to hopefully prevent future problems. Just a little bit of grease now, just to stop it seizing. So making sure we get our screw holes lined up in the right places. So we'll put our screws, a little bit of copper on there, bit of copper grease on there, and in the countersink, just to get all bases covered. These drums aren't as good as I thought they were. I think we got a bit of a misalignment on the holes on these retaining screws. There we go. They are just a smidge proud. Right, so these original screws are not sitting flush. I've got a brand new screw. Let's see if the new screws match the new drums better than the old screws. No, that's no better. Right, so the countersink in these drums is not deep enough. So the problems that would cause, if these screws being very slightly proud, it's not much, it is only just enough to catch a fingernail under. But if you put a wheel on here, the wheel will be riding on these two screws and not contacting round here. So I think we're going to have to put a slightly deeper countersink in there. So I don't know why people that make new parts can't make them right, but it would appear that they can't. We will be back. So we are set up in the milling machine with our countersink bit. So all we've got to do is take out just a little bit more depth, just so that the screw fits slightly below the surface. As you can tell, it's a little bit high. So we're just about flush now. I'll take a little bit more out. Right, that's better. He's sitting just below now. Right, do the next. Perfect. Right, let's go on install for a second time. Line up our screw holes. go. That's better. Nice and flush now, or a little bit below flush. So that's this side finished. Apart from the wheel, I will put together the other far side, put the wheels on and come back for setting up of the brakes. Okay, so we are now fully back together. Right hand side brake is completed. Both wheels are on. This wheel is now jacked clear of the ground, free to turn. So what we need to do now, once the wheel is jacked up, we will take a screwdriver, we will pass that through the slot to engage in that adjuster that we set up earlier on. Okay, so the blade of the screwdriver will fit into the starry bit on the adjuster. We will push in and we will push the handle towards the axle on both sides until the wheel locks. Okay, so we'll do a click and turn until it locks up. And then once it locks, we will back off by pulling the handle backwards. So pull the handle away from the axle 2 or 3 turns, or as many as we need, until we get a nice free running wheel. We will let down, jack up the opposite wheel, do the same again. And when we've done both wheels, they will then be set roughly. What we need to do then is take it outside, drive it at a steady forward pace, press the brake pedal. If it veers to one side or the other, or one side locks, or one side brakes harder than the other, we back off the side that brakes hardest. But you know, that's got to be done outside. So first job, get our brakes set, and then we will go out into the daylight when the time comes. Okay, so left hand wheel first. What we'll do, screwdriver in, push the handle towards the axle. Starting to bind. Right, now we're locked. Can't move. Oh, can't. One more. Right, wheel is now locked. So we'll put the screwdriver in and pull the handle back towards us. Right, we'll take that, we'll leave that as it is. Do the far side. And that is our preliminary setting done. Right, so as you can see, we are now out of the shed. The first time it's moved in 18 months. If you remember way back 18 months ago, we changed, we put our swing and drawbar bracket on. We swapped that over off the 3-cylinder 35, and it's not moved since then. But we have now done the hitch, we've done our seals, and we've now done the brakes. Just final thing to do is balance the brakes up. So what we do, we start driving reasonably steadily forwards, press the brakes. If it veers one side or the other, we back off the side that it veers towards. Okay, so the first brake to bite backs off just a little bit, and we do that little bit at a time until we get them balanced right. So we'll do that. Let's give it a go. Okay, so we are going to go in high range, second gear, a little bit of revs, and just try it, see what happens. So it's hard to tell, but it is just very slightly veering to the right. So what we'll do, we'll back this brake off a little bit. Now when we were setting the brakes originally, we jacked it up and spun them. We don't need to do that now. We just get on our little adjuster, back them off one click, and try again. Okay, so just like before, we are gonna, you probably can't see it, we're gonna go in, and we're going to pull the handle away from the axle to click off. So back off a click. Okay, so it is now pulling up square, but if we drive reasonably quickly and step the brakes and clutch and brake to stop, that right hand wheel is locking up. We'll back it off again just a little bit more. Try and stop that to get it even
braking with this one. So because it is new shoes and new drums on this tractor, we'll run it for a little bit and then we will readjust. It all just takes time to bed in. These are soft, what they call soft linings on these shoes. I've never used them before. The theory being they don't lock the wheels, they're a bit softer. I would imagine that would give a higher wear rate, but for the amount I use them, that's neither here nor there. We very rarely on a vintage tractor very rarely wear out a set of brake shoes unless you're a really high mileage road use, which this isn't. So there we go. Finally, after the tractor's been in the shed 18 months, it's took me a year to do these two jobs on the back axle. Other things have been getting in the way, and we've done other projects in between as well. So there we go. Hopefully now something else can come into the shed ready to get fixed. So I would say thank you very much for watching. Thank you for being patient. Vintage Thursday has been away a long time. It's just this was in the shed getting in the way, and I just couldn't get a Saturday afternoon to get it outside to get it finished. But we've managed it today. So thank you very much for watching. Hopefully we can have a busy summer on the vintage department, and we'll see you next time.